Welcome back to our channel, World Coins History. As you knew that old is gold, but these rare $quarter coins that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Top 1. Today, we're diving into a coin that has taken the collecting world by storm, a coin that looks completely ordinary at first glance, yet hides surprises that could turn pocket change into serious profit. Yes, I'm talking about the United States of America $quarter celebrating Maya Angelou from the year 2022. This coin is more than metal, more than design, and more than a tribute. It's a modern treasure hiding in millions of pockets and drawers across the country, and if you're listening right now, you might already have one without realizing how special it can be. When you hold the Maya Angelou quarter in your hand, you're holding a symbol of American history in motion. The front features George Washington, but not the same Washington you see on older quarters. This version comes from a design that was once rejected back in the early 1930s, now finally brought to life 90 years later. Flip the coin and you'll see Maya Angelou herself, arms lifted, a bird soaring, and a rising sun behind her. It's a scene full of energy, strength, and freedom, much like the woman it honors. That feeling alone makes collectors love this coin, but what makes them chase it are the rare varieties and minting errors hiding across the surfaces. Now here's where things get exciting. The majority of these coins are common. You'll find them struck at the Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and special proof examples from San Francisco. But not every quarter came out perfectly. A small number left the mint with dramatic and unusual flaws that turn a 25-cent coin into something collectors compete for. One of the biggest stars is the so-called drooling George error. On these coins, a tiny blob of metal forms by Washington's chin, making it look like he's drooling. It sounds funny, but it is one of the most valuable errors of this entire series. Another rare one is the nesting bird error, where a crack in the die makes it look like the bird on the reverse is carrying a twig or nesting material. Collectors go wild for these because each error is unique, and no two look exactly the same. There are also off-center strikes, die breaks running across the fields, and rim cuts where chunks of metal rise up like tiny cliffs. These mistakes are the heartbeat of modern coin collecting, because they prove that even the newest coins still hold hidden treasures. So if you love collecting, here's your mission. Check every 2022 quarter you come across. Hold it under a bright light. Tilt it. Study the jawline. Look at the bird. Look at the sun. Because if you spot one of these rare features, you may be holding something truly special. As for the value, here are the real numbers. A regular circulated Maya Angelou quarter is usually worth only around 30 to 50 cents. A mint state uncirculated example can sell between $10 and $45 depending on the grade. The nesting bird error can reach several $100s, with some examples going for more than $480. But the king of them all, the drooling George error, has reached auction prices as high as $1,900. If you enjoyed this breakdown and love discovering hidden treasures in everyday coins, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you never miss a new video. Top 2, we're diving deep into a coin that many people overlook, but collectors know it hides some of the most surprising and valuable errors of the late 20th century. The United States of America $quarter from the year 1988 might look like any ordinary Washington quarter, but trust me, this coin has secrets. And if you stay with me through this entire video, you might discover that a coin sitting right inside your change bowl could be worth far more than you ever imagined. The 1988 quarter carries the classic Washington design used for decades, but that doesn't mean it's boring. In fact, this year is one of the most exciting for error collectors because several striking mistakes escaped the mint, and those rare pieces are now considered treasures. Whether your coin comes from the Philadelphia Mint without a mint mark, or from the Denver Mint with a small d, each one has potential, but only a small percentage contain the highly desirable minting flaws that collectors fight over. One of the most famous errors from this year is the off-center strike. Imagine a quarter where Washington's face is pushed to one side, leaving part of the coin blank. These can be dramatic or subtle, but the more off-center the strike, the more attention they get. Another valuable variety is the double die coin, where the lettering or features appear slightly doubled. This is one of those errors that looks small at first glance, but under magnification it becomes a shocking discovery. Collectors go crazy for strong doubling because it proves the coin was struck from a flawed die, making it much rarer than normal circulation pieces. There are also clipped planchet errors, where the coin has a curved bite missing from its edge, and broad strike errors, where the quarter was struck without its retaining collar, causing it to appear wide and slightly distorted. These mistakes might seem like accidents, but in the world of numismatics, they are pure gold for collectors who love imperfections created during production. And 1988 is known for several of these unique surprises that add incredible value. So if you're a coin lover, listen closely. Check every 1988 quarter carefully. Look at the rim, the letters, the edges, the spacing, the fields. Hold it under a bright light and rotate it slowly. Many people have found rare errors in pocket change that they almost spent, and some of these little metal discs have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction. The thrill of the hunt is real, and the potential rewards are bigger than you might expect. Now let's talk value in real market terms. A regular circulated 1988 quarter is typically worth around 25 to 50 cents. A clean uncirculated mint state example can sell for $10 to $30 depending on grade. But the rare off-center errors have sold for over $200. Strong double die examples have reached auction prices of more than $400. And extremely dramatic errors, like major off-center or broad strike pieces in high grade, have been known to sell for as high as $1,200. Top 3, we're exploring a coin that almost everyone has seen, but very few people have truly looked at. The United States of America quarter dollar from 1985 may appear like an ordinary Washington quarter, the kind you might toss into a vending machine without a second thought. But if you stay with me throughout this video, you'll discover that this common-looking coin hides rare surprises that can make collectors jump with excitement. And who knows, one of these valuable pieces might already be sitting in your pocket, your piggy bank, or even the bottom of your car cup holder. The 1985 quarter comes from a time before state quarters, before special programs, when the Washington design ruled the coin world. But despite its simple appearance, this year produced some striking rarities that collectors still hunt for today. The Philadelphia Mint made millions without a mint mark, and the Denver Mint added its signature D. Most are typical, worn, and circulated, but a small number escaped with unusual minting errors, and those are the ones that transform a 25-cent coin into something worth far more. One of the most collected errors on the 1985 quarter is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank isn't lined up perfectly inside the stamping press. The result is a quarter where Washington's portrait is shifted, leaving part of the coin blank. The more dramatic the shift, the more valuable the coin becomes. Even a small off-center can bring attention, but when the quarter is struck so far off that part of the date or lettering is missing, collectors go crazy for it. Another special rarity is the double die variety. This happens when the die used to strike the coin has a slight doubling, causing letters or numbers to appear thicker, shadowed, or doubled. These are the kinds of errors you might not see at first glance, but once you spot that doubling, you realize you're holding something far rarer than a normal quarter. Collectors who specialize in double dies love this year because subtle varieties exist and can be surprisingly valuable. There are also clipped planchet quarters from 1985, where a curved slice is missing from the edge. These pieces look like a bite has been taken out of them, but in the world of numismatics, that bite is pure treasure. Coin hunters also look for broad strikes, where the quarter was struck without the retaining collar, causing it to appear wider, flatter, and stretched out. These errors are eye-catching and hard to ignore once you know what to look for. So if you're a coin lover, pay attention to every detail on your 1985 quarter. Scan the rim, study the edges, tilt the surface under a bright light, and use your eyes like a detective. The thrill comes from knowing that among millions of ordinary coins, a few extraordinary ones slip through the minting process, and those are the pieces collectors will pay top dollar for. Now let's talk real prices. A standard circulated 1985 quarter is generally worth about 25 to 50 cents. A sharp uncirculated example can bring $10 to $30 depending on grade. Off-center errors from this year have sold for more than $200. Strong double die examples have reached prices over $400. And extremely dramatic errors, such as major off-center or broad strike pieces in mint condition, have been known to sell for as high as $1,000. Top 4. We're unlocking the story of a coin that millions of people have spent without ever realizing the hidden value it could hold. The United States of America $quarter dollar from 1971 may look simple, may look ordinary, but for collectors and error hunters, this coin is full of surprises. And by the time you finish this video, you might start checking every old change jar in your house, because 1971 is one of those years where rare mistakes slip through the mint and into circulation. When you look at the 1971 quarter, you see the classic Washington portrait that had already been used for decades. But what most people don't know is that the early 1970s were a time of transition, worn dies, and heavy production. That means more chances for flaws, weak strikes, and unusual variations. And for collectors, unusual means valuable. Some of the most sought-after 1971 quarters come from the Philadelphia Mint, which placed no mint mark on its coins. These were struck in massive numbers, but only a small number contained the rare errors that turn a pocket quarter into a prize. Denver minted coins with the D mark can also be valuable when the right mistakes appear. One of the biggest collectible errors from this year is the off-center strike. Imagine a quarter where Washington's face is pushed so far to one side that part of the date or lettering is missing. These dramatic pieces get collectors excited because each off-center strike is unique. Even a modest off-center can bring attention, but when the blank space grows larger, the value skyrockets. The 1971 quarter is also known for double die varieties. These occur when parts of the design, especially the lettering or numbers, appear slightly doubled. These errors can be faint or strong, but the stronger they are, the more valuable the coin becomes. A doubled motto, doubled date, or doubled reverse lettering can turn a common quarter into a major collectible. Then there are the clipped planchet errors, where a curved bite seems missing from the coin. These happened when coin blanks overlapped during punching. Another exciting variety is the broad strike error, where the coin is struck without its metal collar and spreads out wider than normal. These pieces are immediately eye-catching and always popular with collectors. Some extremely rare 1971 quarters were accidentally struck on the wrong planchet, such as dime planchets. These pieces are thinner, lighter, and missing parts of their design. When one of these appears, it becomes a centerpiece in any collection. So if you have any quarters from 1971, look closely. Tilt them, examine the edges, read the lettering carefully, and check for unusual shapes or missing metal. The thrill of the hunt is real, and the value hiding in your change could be much higher than you think. Now let's talk real market prices. A normal circulated 1971 quarter is usually worth around 25 to 50 cents. An uncirculated mint state example can sell for $10 to $20. Off-center errors from this year have sold for more than $200. Strong double die examples have reached over $400. And major dramatic errors, including coins struck on the wrong planchet, have sold for as high as $1,000. Top 5. We're unlocking another hidden treasure from everyday American change, and this one comes from a year many people overlook. The United States of America $quarter dollar from 1995 might seem like a simple Washington quarter at first glance, but coin collectors know this year hides some of the most surprising errors and rare varieties of the entire decade. So stay with me, listen carefully, and you may discover that the next valuable coin could already be in your pocket, purse, or old jar of forgotten spare change. The 1995 quarter comes from a time just before the excitement of the state quarter program. Back then, most people didn't think twice about their change, and that's exactly why so many rare pieces slipped past everyone unnoticed. The Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint produced millions of quarters this year, but not all were struck perfectly. Some left the mint with small mistakes, some with dramatic errors, and those tiny differences are what collectors chase today. One of the most interesting varieties in 1995 is the double die coin. This happens when the die used to strike the quarter shifts slightly, causing numbers or letters to appear doubled. These aren't always dramatic, but when the doubling is strong enough to see clearly, the value jumps far beyond the ordinary. Collectors especially search for doubling on the motto, the date, and the word Liberty. Off-center strikes from this year are also highly collectible. These happen when the coin blank isn't properly aligned inside the striking chamber. You might see Washington's portrait pushed so far to one side that parts of the rim disappear, or a chunk of blank space appears where the design should be. The deeper the off-center shift, the rarer and more valuable the coin becomes. Another exciting rarity from 1995 is the broadstrike error. When the quarter is struck without its retaining collar, it spreads outward, creating a coin that looks stretched or flattened. Broad strikes are instantly noticeable, and collectors love them for their dramatic appearance. Clipped planchet errors also show up in 1995 quarters. These are easy to identify because they appear as if someone sliced a curved piece out of the coin. These clipped errors were caused during the punching of coin blanks, and every clipped piece is unique. There are even a few extremely rare 1995 quarters struck on the wrong planchet. Imagine a quarter struck on a dime blank. These coins are lighter, thinner, and missing parts of the design. When authenticated, they can bring incredible prices at auction. So if you're a coin lover, pay attention to every detail of the 1995 quarter. Study the rim, check the shape, inspect the letters under bright light, and take your time. Hidden treasures do exist, and they often look like ordinary change until you look closer. Now let's talk real numbers. A normal circulated 1995 quarter is generally worth around 25 to 50 cents. A mint state uncirculated example can sell for $10 to $20. Off-center errors from this year have sold for more than $200. Strong double-die quarters have reached over $300. And dramatic errors such as broad strikes or wrong planchet strikes have sold for as high as $1,000. Top 6. We are taking a deep look into a coin that millions of Americans handled without ever realizing how special it could be. The United States of America $quarter from 1974 is one of those coins that seems ordinary at first glance, but once you understand the rare errors and hidden varieties from this year, you'll never look at your pocket change the same way again. So stay with me to the end, listen closely, and get ready to discover why a simple 1974 quarter might be worth far more than 25 cents. When you pick up a 1974 quarter, you see the classic Washington design that had already been minted for more than 40 years. But underneath that familiar portrait lies a fascinating story. The early 1970s were a time of heavy mint production, aging equipment, and rushed processes. And where there is pressure, there are mistakes, and where there are mistakes, collectors find rare treasures. One of the most valuable types of 1974 quarters are the off-center strikes. These are the coins where Washington's face or the reverse eagle appears pushed far to one side, leaving a crescent of blank metal. The more dramatic the misalignment, the rarer the coin becomes. Even a minor off-center can catch a collector's eye, but when the date or lettering is partially missing, the value jumps dramatically. Another fascinating rarity from 1974 is the double die variety. This happens when the die used to strike the coin shifts slightly before impact, giving the letters or numbers a shadow-like doubling. Some double dies from this year show doubling in the motto, the date, or even the word Liberty. These are the kinds of coins that look perfectly normal until you look closely, and once you spot the doubling, you know you found something precious. Clipped planchet errors also appear in 1974. These coins have a curved piece missing from the rim, almost like someone snipped off a small bite. These mistakes happened when blanks were cut too close to each other during the manufacturing process. Add to that the broad strike errors, where the quarter was struck without its collar and spread outward, giving it a wider, flatter shape. These pieces are immediately recognizable and always popular with collectors. Then there are the wrong planchet errors. These are extremely rare, but they do exist. A 1974 quarter accidentally struck on a dime planchet. These coins are thinner, lighter, and missing parts of the design around the edges. When one appears, it becomes a major highlight in any coin collection. So if you have any 1974 quarters lying around, give them your full attention. Inspect the rim, check the shape, look at the lettering under bright light, and take your time. You never know which small detail might reveal a hidden rarity. Now let's talk actual values in today's real market. A regular circulated 1974 quarter is usually worth around 25 to 50 cents. A clean mint state uncirculated example can sell for $10 to $20. Off-center errors from this year have sold for more than $200. Strong double die coins have reached prices over $400. And extremely dramatic errors, including wrong planchet strikes, have sold for as high as $1,000. Top 7, we're diving into a coin that millions of people have touched, spent, dropped, and completely ignored for decades. Yet for collectors, the United States of America $quarter from 1973 is a hidden mystery full of rare surprises. If you stay with me through this entire video, you'll discover why this ordinary-looking quarter has become a favorite among error hunters and why a simple mistake on a 1973 coin could turn it into something worth far more than its face value. When you first look at the 1973 quarter, you see the familiar Washington portrait and the classic eagle reverse used throughout the earlier decades. But this year in particular came during a time when the U.S. Mint was working at high speed, producing huge numbers of coins. High production means pressure. Pressure means machine stress. And machine stress often leads to minting errors, and those minting errors are the reason collectors pay very close attention to this date point. One of the most exciting types of rare 1973 quarters is the off-center strike. These are the coins where Washington's head is shifted to one side and a slice of blank metal appears along the rim. Even small off-center strikes bring interest, but the dramatic ones, the ones where the date is partially missing, are the real treasures. Another important rarity is the double die variety. This happens when the die that strikes the coin shifts ever so slightly before impact, giving the letters or numbers a doubled look. Sometimes the doubling appears on the word Liberty, sometimes on the motto, and sometimes on the date itself. These doubled dies are often missed by the untrained eye, but once you spot that doubling, the value of the coin changes instantly. 1973 also has clipped planchet errors, where a curved piece is missing from the edge. These coins look like a bite was taken out of them, but in reality, it happened during the blank punching process. Collectors love these because no two clips are exactly the same. There are also broad strike errors where the coin appears wider and stretched because it was struck outside its retaining collar. And then there are wrong planchet strikes, extremely rare coins accidentally struck on dime planchets. These pieces are thinner and missing details near the rim, and when found, they become centerpiece coins in any collection. So if you have a 1973 quarter in your change, it's time to start paying closer attention. Turn it under the light, examine the rims, check the letters, and compare it to a normal quarter. Tiny details can make huge difference. And that's what makes the hunt so exciting. Any random coin could be the lucky one. Now let's talk real market value. A normal circulated 1973 quarter is usually worth around 25 to 50 cents. A mint state uncirculated example can sell for $10 to $20. Off-center strikes from this year have sold for more than $200. Strong double die varieties have reached over $400. And major dramatic errors, including wrong planchet strikes, have sold for as high as $1,000. Top 8. We are unlocking the story of one of the most talked about coins in American numismatics, a coin that marked a turning point in U.S. coin history. The United States of America $quarter from 1965 may look like a simple, ordinary Washington quarter, but this one carries more secrets, rumors, and rare errors than almost any other modern quarter ever minted. So sit back, stay with me until the very end, and listen carefully, because what you learn today might change the way you look at every 1965 quarter you ever find. 1965 was the first year the U.S. Mint switched from 90% silver to a new copper-nickel clad composition. Silver was removed from all circulating dimes and quarters. But this huge change led to chaos inside the mint, rushed production, mixed materials, leftover silver planchets, and overloaded machines. And wherever the mint struggles, rare minting errors are born. That's why collectors pay special attention to this year. Let's start with one of the most legendary mysteries in coin collecting, the rare 1965 quarter accidentally struck on a silver planchet. Even though quarters were no longer supposed to have silver that year, a few leftover silver blanks from 1964 somehow slipped into the presses. These silver 1965 quarters became numismatic celebrities. They look slightly different, sound different when dropped, and weigh differently than normal clad quarters. If you find one, you're not just lucky, you are holding one of the most valuable clad transition errors ever discovered, but silver isn't the only rare feature. 1965 is also famous for dramatic off-center strikes. These are the coins where Washington's portrait is pushed far to the side and a wide blank area shows on the surface. The more dramatic the off-center, the more collectors want it. A clean, deep off-center from 1965 can reach incredible prices because errors from this transition year are extremely sought after. Then there are the double die varieties. These happen when the die used to strike the quarter is slightly misaligned, leaving shadow-like doubling in the lettering or date. 1965 has several minor double dies, but the strong ones are rare and can dramatically boost the value of the coin. Clipped planchet errors also appear this year. These coins have curved bites missing from the rim where the blank was punched too close to the sheet edge. Collectors love these because each clip looks different, and 1965 clips are especially desirable due to the historic metal transition. Another exciting error is the broad strike quarter. This happens when a coin is struck without its collar, causing it to spread wider than normal. A broad strike from 1965 is instantly recognizable and always gets attention from collectors who specialize in minting mistakes, and then we have wrong planchet errors. These are extremely rare but they do exist. 1965 quarters struck on dime planchets or other leftover blanks. These coins appear thinner, lighter, and incomplete around the rims, and when one appears, it becomes a showpiece in any collection. So if you have any quarter from 1965, treat it like a potential treasure. Check the weight if you can. Listen to its sound. Study the edges, the shape, the lettering, the date, and the fields. This is one of those years where almost anything unusual can be valuable because the mint was under incredible pressure and mistakes were slipping through more often than people realized. Now let's talk real market prices. A regular circulated 1965 quarter is usually worth about 25 to 50 cents. A clean mint state uncirculated example can sell for $10 to $20. Off-center errors from this year have sold for more than $200. Strong double die examples have reached prices over $400. Broad strike and clipped planchet pieces often bring over $200. And the incredibly rare 1965 silver planchet quarter has sold at auction for as high as $9,000. Top 9, we're diving deep into a fascinating piece of American history, the 1997 United States quarter dollar. You might think, it's just a regular quarter, right? Well, stick around because this coin hides some secrets that can make collectors' eyes light up. And while it's a little heavier, the 1997 quarter dollar, minted during a year of relatively standard designs, might look ordinary at first glance. But for those who know where to look, it holds surprises. Some of these coins show subtle minting errors, double dies, and even rare misstrikes. These tiny imperfections are exactly what make a coin stand out in the collecting world. Let's talk about rarity. Most 1997 quarters were produced in the millions, but a few batches carry mint marks and variations that are much harder to find. Coins with double die errors on the obverse or reverse, or those with off-center strikes, are particularly prized. Even a slight variation in the eagle's feathers or the state design on the reverse can make a huge difference for collectors. Now, if you're curious about value, here's where it gets exciting. In today's market, a standard 1997 quarter in circulated condition might not be worth much more than face value. But coins with notable errors or pristine uncirculated condition can fetch surprisingly strong prices. Real-world collectors have seen auction values climb into the tens of dollars for rare specimens, and in some cases, coins with dramatic errors can even exceed $100. Yes, a small mistake from over 2 decades ago can become a collector's treasure today. For those who love the thrill of the hunt, examining a 1997 quarter can feel like unlocking a tiny mystery from American minting history. Each scratch, die crack, or off-center strike tells a story about how the coin was made and why it survived to reach your hands decades later. Imagine holding a coin that thousands of people handled but only a few noticed its uniqueness. That's the magic of coin collecting, so if you have a 1997 quarter tucked away in your drawer, take a closer look. Inspect it under light, compare it with other coins, and see if it has that special error or rarity that can make it stand out. Even if you don't find a rare gem, appreciating the subtle details of this everyday coin connects you to history in a way that few other objects can. Don't forget, if you're loving this coin exploration, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We're just getting started on uncovering hidden treasures in everyday coins, and you won't want to miss the next discovery. Remember, the real market price for a typical 1997 United States quarter is around 25 cents. But for rare errors, auction values can soar to $50 and even exceed $100 for the most unique specimens. Every coin has a story, and today, the 1997 quarter reminds us that even the smallest piece of metal can hold a world of value. Top 10 and last unique coin. We're diving into a coin that might seem simple at first glance but holds fascinating secrets for anyone who knows where to look, the 1978 United States quarter dollar. Now, if you think it's just a coin you might toss in a jar or find under your couch cushions, think again. This quarter has stories, rare variations, and even potential surprises in value that can excite any collector. The 1978 quarter was minted in the era of classic American coin design. On the obverse, you'll find George Washington's iconic portrait, a design that's been familiar to Americans for decades. On the reverse, there's the American eagle, wings outstretched, clutching arrows and olive branches, a symbol of strength and peace. But beyond these standard features, collectors know that the magic of coins often lies in the details, the tiny, subtle differences that make one coin stand out from millions of others. Let's start with rarity. The 1978 quarter was minted in huge numbers across multiple mints, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. While the vast majority were standard circulation coins, a small percentage of these quarters escaped the mint with imperfections, misstrikes, or unique characteristics that make them highly desirable today. These aren't just flaws, in the ordinary sense, they are variations that tell a story of the coin's production, and in the world of numismatics, that story can translate into real value. One of the most fascinating aspects of the 1978 quarter is the minting errors. Some coins display a double die on the obverse or reverse, creating a subtle doubling of letters or numbers. To the casual eye, this might go unnoticed, but for collectors, it's a rare feature that can significantly increase a coin's value. Then there are off-center strikes, where the coin didn't align perfectly in the press, leaving part of the design missing. These errors might seem small, but they make each coin unique, a one-of-a-kind treasure that you can't find anywhere else. Some coins even have die cracks, tiny fissures in the metal caused during the minting process, adding another layer of uniqueness. Collectors don't just seek coins for their rarity, they seek stories. Imagine holding a 1978 quarter that traveled through decades of history. Perhaps it was in someone's pocket during a summer in 1978, passed through cash registers, lunch counters, or the hands of children collecting allowance. Maybe it survived countless rolls in vending machines or the friction of countless pockets, yet it still carries that tiny imperfection, that slight doubling or off-center strike, that sets it apart. For collectors, that's the thrill, the combination of history, art, and rarity all in one small piece of metal. Now, let's get into the numbers, which are always exciting. A typical 1978 quarter in circulated condition is worth its face value, 25 cents. But here's where collectors' eyes start to sparkle. Uncirculated coins, or coins in mint condition, can fetch higher prices, sometimes $5 to $10. If you're lucky enough to find a coin with a noticeable minting error, such as a double die or an off-center strike, the auction value can climb even further, reaching $20 to $50 or more. And in rare cases, coins with dramatic or highly unusual errors have sold for over $100. That's right, a coin you might casually find in your pocket could actually be a hidden gem worth far more than anyone imagined. For those who love the hunt, examining a 1978 quarter can be a rewarding adventure. Start by looking closely at the lettering, the numbers, and the eagle's feathers. Are the letters perfectly aligned, or is there a slight doubling? Is the design centered, or does it appear off-kilter? Even the tiniest detail can reveal a coin's hidden story. And remember, even if you don't find an error, the process of examining and appreciating the coin connects you to history in a very real and tangible way. Coin collecting is about more than just money, it's about curiosity, history, and the thrill of discovery. Each coin carries its own journey, from the mint to your hands, and every imperfection adds character. The 1978 quarter is a perfect example of this. It's a coin from a pivotal decade, a symbol of American design, and a small piece of history that you can hold, study, and cherish. Before we wrap up, here's a little reminder for all you treasure hunters out there: don't just stop at one coin. Explore your pocket change, your old coin jars, and even coins passed down from family. Sometimes the most valuable finds are hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone with a keen eye to recognize their worth. And speaking of worth, here's the real deal. The standard 1978 United States quarter has a market value of around 25 cents. But if you're lucky enough to find a coin with minting errors, doubling, or uncirculated quality, auction values can range from $10 to over $50, and in extremely rare cases, even exceed $100. That's the beauty of coin collecting. Small changes can turn into significant treasures. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1978 quarter, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. We'll keep exploring hidden gems in everyday coins, uncovering rare finds, and sharing tips for collectors and treasure hunters alike. Every coin has a story, and the adventure of discovering it is priceless. Thanks for spending time with me today, coin enthusiasts. Keep collecting, keep exploring, and most importantly, keep enjoying the journey through history, one coin at a time.